Well, I have an agenda, so let's get to it. Oh, the hand wringing. Yeah. All right. Uh, all right. Excellent. Yeah. There we go. All right. Hey, that's my Simpsons couch gig. Done. All right. Always things happen in my life, and you just never know what might happen from one day to the next. Life can be full of surprises, and that was true with my car CD player this week. I don't know if I had spoken of. Uh, I was playing CDs driving to and from work until October when one got stuck inside my car CD player. Well, it finally ejected this past week after more than 6 months being in there. And I know my car's mechanic said, well, it might just eject on itself someday after he tried disconnecting the battery and it wouldn't go. And he said, well, replacing the CD would still be cheaper. And he was right. It was a Maroon 5 CD, and I got a replacement for it, and then the original one ejects. So it's like, all right, now I have two of the same CD. I don't know what to do with it. But I have been leery of trying to play another CD in it since then because I don't want another one stuck inside. So I guess that's how machines work. They work when they want to. Maroon 10, I like that. Ah, well, I know that one Maroon 5 song has a meaning to me. I'm aware of how songs can have meaning based on when you hear them in life, and I'm careful about what music I'm listening to when there are what some might consider to be tragic events in my life. Their song "This Love" was the one I was hearing on my car radio after driving home from being laid off in suburban Chicago. I should hate that song because of it, but I don't because it's about saying goodbye. And it was only because I got laid off in suburban Chicago that I was willing to move to Minnesota. Year after moving to Minnesota, I saw Maroon 5 in concert. So in that case, it worked on hearing that song then. It seemed appropriate enough. Not in every case, though, but in that case, it did. Uh, and then I like their song Memories as well because it's about remembering somebody who has passed on. And I know a friend of mine who
That's
died
a
kind
great
of
song.
young that lives in St. Louis, lived in St. Louis, liked Maroon 5. So yeah, that one seemed to be appropriate because it made me think of her. Uh, Well, always things happening at work too, even though the office is largely deserted due to the pandemic, because I still sometimes get visitors to where I print checks. And this past week, the bank branch manager shows up with a visitor I didn't recognize, but I'll notice things that others may not. And I said, "Oh, you must be important. I should definitely let you in because your name tag says executive director." He said, "Oh, it does, doesn't it?" And he tried to be really modest about it. So in his case, I don't know if executive director means all that much, but in many cases, it means the big chief, head honcho, whatever. And they looked around at our safety equipment like the emergency door, and then they left after a minute. And I said, "Oh, that's it? Okay." Uh, I know that's not the first time where somebody's really modest about being in charge. I know I once met the owner of a comedy club one time who hardly ever is there an open mic night. He said, "I just work here." It's like, oh, cool, playing it cool there. And then the next good story about being at work was I was calling for service on the copier, and I was asked for the serial number in order to be helped with it. And I know the phone. I usually put it on speaker in case I have to move around a little. And in this case, the phone wasn't all that close to the copier, and I had to get up to get a look at the copier. And he said, "Take as long as you want." And that led me to telling a story about being at a liquor store. And it's like, oh, this has to be part of my set because he laughed. I tend to make people laugh, and I'm not trying that hard. Why did I tell the story about the liquor store? Well, one time I was in St. Louis, and I was a little indecisive about what beer to get because I like having beer while I'm writing. I don't know, it's just habit, just like I like having beer when I'm performing at a club. And then the clerk at the liquor store, convenience store, said, "Oh, no big deal. Take as long as you want." I said, "Well, I don't want to take too long. I don't want to be here until you close." And he said, "Yes, that would be too long." And yeah, I guess I don't have to find out why he laughed on me telling the story about the liquor store. To some people, he would laugh because of the red herring. Not in my case did I see it as a red herring, though. But yeah, if somebody laughs, go with it. I mean, I'm not the type that tells people they're laughing for the wrong reason. Come on, I'm a comedian. I want laughs. Period. And of course, I have to get groceries. And you see the general public grocery stores just like you do at bars. I like having an Aldi near me. And this weekend when I went to the Aldi, I was getting my groceries together after I paid. I noticed a lady had two of her kids leashed to a baby stroller, which the third kid was in, and she was yelling at the kids. It's like, better you than me. And I know I once made a comment about somebody leashing their kids, and they got all bent out of shape, so I knew better than to say something about that this time. And I just remember the lady saying, "Well, you better go after it." It was a big container of cheese balls because she said, "Well, anybody could take it," almost implying that I was going to, but I didn't. I'm not a barbarian, especially with all the witnesses that would be at a grocery store like that. I mean, come on. I know well enough to be polite with people, especially kids. What am I going to do with all those cheese balls? Be eating them by myself anyway. And then I take plenty of walks too. That helped me lose plenty of weight during the pandemic because I can't sit still. And this weekend when I was out on a walk, I was passing by with a young man who just parked his car, and he asked me if it was fine to park there, and I said, "I wouldn't know. I'm not a cop, and I don't work for the apartment complex." And then he said, "Well, I'm not here that often." I said, "And I still don't have the answer you're looking for." And the young man had a lady with him, and I like the lady's response to it. "It's okay." And I felt like telling him, "You know what? I used to be just like you, dude, where I was so unsure of myself. Hopefully you learn after a while that sometimes you have to fake it till you make it." I mean, lack of confidence dogged me for too long. It seems like that might be his problem too, except he had a lady with him. You have to be confident to have a lady with you. Go figure. Well, I just watched a YouTube video. I like watching those, especially music, but sometimes they have good instructional videos, how-to videos there too, if you would call this one that. I don't know how I ended up in my newsfeed though. You might like this one, but it was a 1-minute video from a lady with a lot of tattoos on it, and I watched it because it said why why women cheat more than men, and it's like, well, I guess she was right on what she said in just under a minute, where society is good at keeping men insecure. That would explain an ex-friend of mine who was dating a married woman, and he said he was always afraid of dying alone. And that's one of the reasons why I ended the friendship. It's like, dude, why are you dating a married woman? I always expect to get shot in the back by a jealous husband. I mean, there are plenty of available women that aren't married that you don't have to wait for them to get divorced to be legally with them. And then the video ended with a memorable line. Sad but true and very harsh. She said, "Humans are shit. Yes. Sadly, many of them are. Always looking for what they can get away with. We're in many ways we're sadly just basically civilized savages. Some of us more civilized than others. I'm still doing 2-movie weekends, including the Red Box rental, which was Every Breath You Take. But although this is the title of a song by Police, a band fronted by Sting, the song is not in the movie, which is not typical. Usually, when there's a song of the same name, the song is in the movie as well. Like the two Roy Orbison songs became movie titles, Only the Lonely and Pretty Woman. But still a good movie. I like thrillers, and it was a thriller starring Casey Affleck, who I still know as Ben's brother, like many people do. He was playing a psychiatrist, and one of his patients commits suicide, and then things really unravel after that, which I guess makes it a thriller. In some ways, it reminded me of Hand That Rocks the Cradle. I'm not sure why, but that was another thriller I remember watching many years ago. The other one I watched was Without Limits, which is a biopic about Steve Prefontaine, the track star. Just something about the story of that track star that I really like. But sadly, no matter how many times I watched that movie or the other one about him, which is called Prefontaine, is he still finishes fourth in the Munich Olympics in '72 and still dies in a car before he can race the Olympic Games again. But I am fully aware of how biopics are usually like that. It's usually about somebody who has already died, especially somebody who has died young. Like those who are in the 27 Club, like The Doors about Jim Morrison, the first R-rated movie I saw after turning 17. And I had a lot of delight in showing my ID when I was carded in the small town Iowa theater where I grew up to see it. It's like, yeah, you have to let me in. I'm old enough. To some people, that is a rite of passage where they can get in by themselves to an R-rated movie. I mean, it's not like turning 16 or 18 or 21, but to some it still means something nonetheless. And I heard from my step niece who needed some help with government class. Yeah, I feel the need to put Steph in there because it's not my brother's biological kid. It wouldn't be accurate to call her niece, so I put step niece there. She needed help with government class, and she asked me about constitutional amendments, and I said, "Do you mean Bill of Rights?" Yes. And I should have known she was going to ask me about a tough one. She didn't ask me about Amendment 1 or 2 or 5. She asked me about Amendment 9. Not even I was familiar with that one. It's an obscure, vague one, which is a lot like Amendment 10, where basically rights including but not limited to. So it protects all of the Bill of Rights rights, even though they're not specifically mentioned. And then she spoke about watching a YouTube video, hopefully it's on YouTube, that explained it well, where you have the right to build a snowman in winter if you want to. It's like, well, that's one way of looking at it, but I know that the Supreme Court once used Amendment 9 in one of the cases in front of it. I think it was about the right to use birth control in the 60s. So there's still some practical use for it, but I learned something. I like how I was helpful to my stepniece. So everybody wins, I guess. And hopefully I can find a cool YouTube video too, because I just spoke about one. So I guess that'll do it for me. Thank you, all been great.
Yay!